Hey, yo, Tiddly Truck Driver, how the fuck are you? Well, with all this crap going down about Trayvon Martin and George Zimmerman, and I got at least 4 or 5 videos up on here, and I've got all the reverse racists, the liberals, the Afro-Americans, or as I call them, the niggas, banging on me, calling me a racist, a bigot, a hypocrite. You know what? You don't pay my rent, you don't buy my food, you don't put a roof over my head. That's about what your opinion's worth. But I was thinking tonight, I was watching Judge Jeanine Pirro over here on Fox News. And as much as I like her, there are days I just like to take her out back somewhere and just bitch slap her ass because she says, well, I'm a gun owner and I'm this, and that. And I'm saying, yeah, bitch, get a fucking life. I happen to think, being old and senile as I am anymore, because that's what everybody thinks, I'm going to die tomorrow, or I should die because I'm a dinosaur with my views and beliefs. I was thinking, back in the early 1980s, I'd gone through a separation and a divorce. I had moved out to a place called Cochise, Arizona. Now, you want to talk about a place that's in the middle of nowhere, that's it. My mom and my stepdad had a 40-acre apple ranch out there. I moved out there to stay with them. I didn't have anywhere to go. My job was to go out there every day, like a Mexican. You go out there and tend to the trees, clipping and all that, putting spreaders in there, watering them, driving the tractor, turning the dirt up and all that. Now, I didn't have much money. I had an old, beat-up E100 Ford van, and my folks, for all my labors and efforts at the time, might give me $60 or $80 a work a week to keep myself going. You know, put gas in the van, pay the insurance, stuff like that. I used to sit there, and I go down south a little bit, about 10, 12 miles, a place called Sunsites, Arizona. There's a gas station down there and a bar and a little quick stop store. It's about the only thing within, I'm going to say, 30 or 40 miles of anywhere, okay? If you go to the east, you got Dos Cabezas, and I mean, it's like the end of the trail, the middle of nowhere. So usually on a Thursday or Friday or Saturday night, I'd get my money and I'd drift on down there to Sunsites. There's a little local bar down there. I mean, it's as country as it can get. It's got country music. There's maybe 2 pool tables, and 99.5% of people go in there for a good dance, a little bit of drinking, a little bit of fun, a little bit of spoofing and goofing. That's how we kept our sanity. Well, one night we had a situation where a bunch of smackos, for the lack of a better word, come drifting in from down south there, just off the border by Naco, Mexico. And they got to drinking and playing and spending money and all that. And, you know, things were doing pretty good. We got a couple of little sweet single honeys down there, and they're flirting as they are wont to do. And we're shooting pool, you know, quarter pool table, playing 8-ball. And everything's going fine. Well, one of these gentlemen, for the lack of a better word, evidently imbibed in a little bit too much. And now he wants to get possessive on one of these ladies who completely and publicly says, yo, dude, get away from me. I'm sitting at the bar. I pretty well mind my own self. I mean, I go in there, I drink my beer. I know the bartendress. She's a sweet young lady. She's maybe 10 years older than me. And we're just chit-chatting back and forth. We're kind of like looking off there, catching the scene, what's going on. Well, finally got to a point where this dude was just like totally obnoxious. And this chick had finally been done with this dude. And like, dude, you lay one more hand on me, make one more pass on me, I'm going to drop you like a hot potato. Well, he gets his macho bullshit up, right? Grabs her and bitch slaps her. And they're like, whoa, you don't do that shit in a country bar. And of course his buddies are there to back him up, you know, standing around him. And the bartenders at that point, you know, stands up and says, yo, you guys, your flag, get out of here. And we got the usual F you, F you, F you type stuff. Now this guy is white. I'm white. The bartenders is white. 90% of the people in there are white. In this little country bar, 30, 40 miles from the nearest police, sheriff, or whatever you want to call it. And they start turning tables and chairs over, you know, busting pool cues, being ignorant and rude. Bartenders is like panicking. And all the guys in there are like, oh shit, what do we do now? Well, I walk out to my 1982 little Chevy Chevette. And I reach inside and I pull out my 7-shot 22 pistol and walk back in. I walk up to the dude that's starting all the shit and being ignorant, and granted, he's drunk. And his buddies are a little buzzed up too. And I said, pal, I said, it's time for you to leave. And he goes to throw a right hook at my face, and I catch it with my left hand. And at the same time, I pull up my 22 7-shot, cock it right in his face, and I'm carrying 22 super hot hollow points. And I tell him, motherfucker, you got about 10 seconds for you and your buddies to get out of here, or I'm going to blow big round holes in your fucking forehead. And when the sheriff gets there, whom I know personally, whom my parents know personally, would have to file the damnedest suicide report you ever saw in your life. And at that point, reality set in on them. I've always tried to be nonviolent. I don't get pissed off until you push me to the last point where there's no return, and when I come out, I'm all teeth and nails, and you'll have to kill me to stop me. This guy's looking down the barrel of that 22. I promise you, if you've been on the wrong end of a gun, even a 22 looks like a fucking cannon where it's 6 inches from your face. And all of a sudden, the pussy comes out in all of them. And they exit the bar. And then, only then, the drones that are sitting there in the bar start to sweep up and clean up, pick up the busted pool cues and all this, and making apologies and shit. And after I walk out and make sure they're escorted out of the building in their car, heading down the road so they don't come back about 1 o'clock in the morning, I come back in and I ask the bartenders for a beer. She says, here, this one's on me. She says, you know what, Brock? You're the only motherfucker I've ever met in my life that's got the balls to back up what he says. You're the only son of a bitch that will sit there and follow up on what's happening. Now, whether you want to call this stand your ground or whatever else that's going on in this world today, you see, back then in Arizona, we could carry. Didn't matter. As long as you didn't have felony conviction, you could carry a gun on your hip. You can carry a rifle on the back window of your pickup truck or whatever else. But see how far we've fallen when people that need guns, that need to use guns, are now restricted by political correctness, by gun laws that make no sense. You wonder where America has gone in this world. I've said it for years, and people say, you're a fucking jerk-off. I said, you know what? We need to go back to the Wild West days. Everybody strapped a gun on their hip. in public, concealed or not, I promise you, the crime rate will fall. Yeah, at first, there'll be a lot of dumb shit, a lot of senseless shootings and stuff, but then the mentality of America will go back to the 1800s and the early 1900s, like, oh, he's got a gun, I got a gun, let's talk about this and work something out. But see, today we are so politically fucking correct, we are so kowtowed by our government, kowtowed by our politicians, even the fucking cops have no idea what the fuck they're doing and do not know what the good guys or the bad guys are. I took a gamble that night. I stuck a loaded weapon in a man's face. But see, being a Vietnam vet, I was prepared to pull the trigger if he and his buddies pulled the issue. And I promise you, the local sheriffs out there would have come in there and said, "You done right, boy." I wouldn't have to worry about some grand jury indicting me. I wouldn't have to worry about some fucking sheriff arresting me. I wouldn't have to worry about anything like that. Because there was 20 or 30 witnesses there that saw me. Because you see, old and as ugly as I am and beat up as I am, even today, you put me in a corner, I'm coming out, all fucking teeth and nails. Rue the day you try and put me in a corner, threaten my family, threaten my friends, make all kinds of nasty cotton-picking accusations and stuff. I'll give you enough time to sink yourself verbally. But you put me in a corner, I'm going to do great bodily harm to you. Now, I don't know today here, 30-odd years later, where that bartender is from Sunsites, Arizona. I'm sure she could verify what I did. The other people that were there, they were all just locals. They were farmers, mechanics, people within, we'll say, 20, 25-mile area. This was our watering hole where we'd go to have fun, listen to some damn good country music, have a few beers, maybe get a little drunk, and if we got lucky and there was one or two single ladies there, we might get to go home with them and have a little fun. But see, we were taught that that's up to them to say, yeah, you can get into my panties or not. Now, as far as those women, maybe they might give one guy a week a shot and another guy a week a shot. Who knows? Not my business to know. But see, we'd sit in that bar and have fun, be goofy as dog shit. But you get these outsiders, these morons, these idiots that sit there and want to stir shit up. So, I look at what's happening around here in the country today, what's happening with our Department of Justice, what's happened to our police forces, what's happened to common sense, and say, where the fuck did America go? Oh, we have Second Amendment rights, and yet we've got politicians every fucking day trying to destroy them. Well, you know what? The city of Chicago, Illinois, has the highest crime rate in the United States, over 535 murders last year. It has the toughest gun laws in the United States. It has the biggest black-on-black crime rate and murder rate in the United States. So much for the gun laws. What happens to the other 95% of the population that is not ghetto type, that can't arm themselves? I don't know, I'm just asking a question. But I know one thing, back in about the early 1980s, in a small little town in Sunsites, Arizona, I sat there and saved somebody's life. I kept a woman from being beat up and raped. Why? Because I stuck a loaded gun in some drunk-ass motherfucker's face and said, calm down, I'm going to blow big round holes through your fucking head. But you see, I'm the prick. I'm the nasty guy. But you know what? I still believe in basic American values, honesty, and decency. And it doesn't matter your skin color, which too many people sit there and say, oh, you're a fucking racist. No, I'm not a racist. I'd have done that to an Indian. I'd have done that to a fucking Islamicist. I'd have done that to a black. I'd have done that to a Hispanic. I just sat there and said, you know what? Out of 20-odd plus people that were sitting in that bar that night, nobody had the balls to stand up and be a man. But I stood up. So, you know, I don't want to hear your bullshit, your commentary and all that calling me names. I know there's a time when you draw the line in the sand and say, from here, I do not back up. And now I'm older and uglier, and like some people say, he's gonna fucking die soon. We hope he dies soon. Well, you know what? When I die, you've watched one of the more famous people in the world die. But when I go out, I'll go out with dignity. And America will lose one more individual that stands up and says, I'm not taking this shit. End of subject. Truck driver's opinion. Y'all can kiss my ass. Good night.